welcome back to Gray Area. My name
Yep,
is Alex, and today we have Hellbound in the house. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Um, yeah, so thanks a lot for taking the time out to speak to us today. We really appreciate it. Um, I always like to start by asking what your musical upbringing was like. How do you think your parents contributed to your musical DNA?
So I have a big kind of musical background in my family. So
Yeah.
on my dad's side, my great grandfather played with like Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett. He played flute in like a pit orchestra for some of the early TV shows that were being broadcast in New York. Like they had a live orchestra because they just shot everything like live on the spot. So then my grandma played piano and she taught me piano at a pretty early age. My uncle, who just recently passed, was really into music as well and, would dabble around the drums. So both of my parents are not musically talented at all, but it's like every single other person. So on my mom's side, my aunt married this guy who's still to this day like the most talented musician I've ever met. He was playing with Eric Clapton, Tina Turner. He was in Van Morrison for a little bit. Was in the band Squeeze. So he's from England. He's not blood related to me, but I grew up like around him and with him. So he was playing with like Elton John, like crazy stuff.
That that's insane that you have like that much musical history in your background. It
Yeah.
and it skipped a generation. Um, it sounds like.
It's not that it skipped a generation. Like it was, my uncle. It's just like my parents both
Yeah,
aren't musically, but they don't play any instruments. But I grew up around it so much that I was very encouraged by my parents at a young age to like do music, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're good. You like this. Like just keep going."
that's great. It's really cool because I feel like a lot of artists started a deficit because not a lot of parents want to support um, a kid who wants to be a musician or that wants to pursue a career in the arts. So that's great that you were able to like have that kind of family
Yeah.
support. I'm sure it makes a huge difference.
Definitely was a little bit easier kind of explaining it to them because there's so many musicians in the family. So it's not like it wasn't, they always wanted me to succeed, and I definitely have been successful on my own,
Right,
being just entirely off music. So they just want to see me succeed and be happy. So regardless of how I do it, they don't really care.
for sure. Um,
Mhm.
when when did you start to realize that music was going to be like a career for you? Because I know you started off when you were in college as a film major. When did you
Mhm.
decide that you were going to go full force into music?
Um, so it was probably when I was about 20 or 21. I had sort of been I wasn't feeling very inspired by film anymore,
Mm,
especially for the program that I was in college. And I just wasn't really hitting that creative like quota that I needed. It just felt very rigid and not that creative, the program that I was in college. So um, me and my friends, we just started messing around with making music because we started getting into electronic music like as a fan.
yeah,
And since I had like a musical background, that I also had like a film background, like one of my favorite things that I love to do film wise was like edit. So using like Premiere, After Effects, all that sort of stuff. So music programs aren't too far off, except you're just using audio. So I kind of had like, I just sort of bridged the two worlds together, and I picked it up really fast, and like I just loved it. So I could do it all on my own. And I wasn't ever really able to turn it into a career until I was probably like 23 or
mhm,
so. And then that's when I think I've been like self-employed, like living entirely off music for like 5 years. So that was when I wanted to turn it into a career when I was 20, but I
of
finally
course.
got to be able to when I was 23.
That's a huge accomplishment to be able to like live off of your art. How were you able to do that? How are you like? I'm sure it's not all from just music income, like just writing music.
Mhm.
How are you able to like turn it into an actual career?
I mean, just over the years, so it really started. I mean, I got out of college, I needed a job. And I'm not somebody who, I'll do anything for my art. So I will take a bullshit 9 to 5 corporate job and I'll play the game
Right.
if it means that I can, I'm not gonna sabotage myself because I don't want to do a 9 to 5. Like I'm not too good for that. So
Right.
if I have to do it, I'll do it. I'll put a suit and tie on, I'll show up, I'll play the game. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's only so I can do art. So I got a job at a mortgage company probably when I was 23, like fresh out of college. And,
Yeah.
I'm making music in my car on my lunch breaks, like
Oh
in the
shit.
parking lot, like aux cord plugged into the computer. I'm going to Barnes and Nobles and making music. Like I didn't have any friends there because I just like, I knew I didn't want to be there.
Right.
But there was a music company and I'm pretty sure they still do stuff. I'm not entirely sure, but a music company called Cymatics.
Oh.
And back
Oh
in the
yeah.
day, they were like
They
the
were
real,
big.
real deal.
Yeah.
I'm sure they still put stuff out. I just haven't seen anything. But I ended up getting hired by them to like work as a sound designer. And I was like, this was before I had any real like touring aspirations or anything. But
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I get to work on music like for 50 hours a week instead of working at a mortgage company. Yeah, like sign me up. So
Right.
I started doing that and then I just started taking like mixing, mastering jobs, like tutoring jobs, like ghost producing. Like I've done it all. And like I said, I'll do anything it takes.
That's
I don't, yeah, I'll do it all.
that's fucking hey man.
I just want to, be an artist at the end of the day and keep making art is doing it as much of the day as I possibly can.
I love to hear that. You're like a true artist in like every sense of the word. Like you don't care what it takes. You are here for making this work in whatever way possible.
Yeah.
Um how did you get into techno specifically? Um your sound I feel like bridges the gap between like sound designy like bass music and techno in a really strange way
Mhm.
that I like. So how did you get into techno like specifically?
Yeah. So, I mean, it all, so it's a really long story. I'll try to keep it brief and bite-sized for
Yeah.
everyone. But back in like 2018, 2017, 2018,
Hmm.
I'd been producing under the name Tassione for a while.
Right.
And I was making like trap music and bass music and everything. But I just got so burnt out on bass music. Like for me, it felt very empty. Like
Mm.
I didn't feel anything when I made it. I didn't feel anything when I listened to it. It wasn't making me happy anymore.
Right.
So I wanted to start a new project. And I came up with the name Hellbound. And I was like, this is really cool. And I didn't know what the music direction was going to be. So me and my manager were just like hunkering down, trying to figure out like what it was going to be.
Mm.
And I just came up with a lot of lame music for it at the time. Manager, God bless my manager for being honest and upfront with me because he's like, nah, this isn't it. This isn't it. This isn't it. This isn't it. And I'm like, I straight up almost quit making music. Like, I don't even remember writing a song like summer of 2018. And
Wow.
then I met Revel, who's one of my best friends. I started Nullsect with him, Brooms, and our managers. And I met him because I was really inspired by the rave sound that he was doing back
Yeah.
in like 2018. And I I was like, I was like reaching out with like so much hope that he would share with me because I was like, listen, like I love this. I'm so inspired by this. But you know how a lot of people are, they're gatekeepy,
Yeah.
but he was like an open book. He taught me literally everything, seriously everything, showed me everything from like the beginning of like, the late 80s, early 90s, all that rave stuff. So I started making like what I considered like rave music, but
Right.
it was really just kind of like ravey, like bass house. And that's kind of what I hear when I hear a lot of the music that's out.
Right.
Fortunately, a lot of the music that I've been writing over the past 2 years is about to come out, which is really nice because I'm hearing, I'm just so excited to get my new music out because that's, the most current version of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, he really inspired me back then, and it started out being like into rave music, and then I just really started gravitating towards like hard techno and like trancey hard techno. And a lot of the sounds that are coming out of Europe, like I really like Viper Diva, Kleinkunstler,
Yeah.
um, you know, even like Charlotte DeWitt stuff, like some of her like hard techno stuff is really cool. And I just didn't see a lot of people doing that here.
Yeah.
And I just was like, all right, if I'm gonna do something, it's gonna have to mean something to me.
Hmm.
And I like the fact that it's like it feels like special to me. It feels unique to me.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, it's so great that you finally found like your sound and where you're comfortable.
Mhm.
Do you feel like the new music that's about to come out is like a huge departure from what you previously did or what people are used to hearing from you? Or is it just like another evolution of that?
It's definitely another evolution. It's not a departure at all. It's, you know, I'm always an artist that is going to keep growing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I look at other artists and it's like, I'm not meaning this as a slight, but some artists can kind of just stay in the same pocket for years.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that is ultimately like the most successful artists can do that.
Yeah.
And that takes like a lot of discipline and commitment. And it's not that I'm not disciplined or committed, but I just really love to grow and discover. Like at the end of the day, if nobody listened to my music, I wouldn't change a single thing of what I was doing in my life. So if if nobody likes the music that I'm gonna put out, like it doesn't matter because like I'm making it for me to enjoy,
Right.
and I'm just kind of sharing it with everyone else. And like, hopefully it's like, hey, you like this? Cool, like awesome. So it's not a departure, it's definitely more of an evolution. And I'm just gonna keep evolving, anyways.
Absolutely. I love that also that you kind of like touched on the fact of finding that space between trance and techno and
Mhm.
like hard techno. And I see that happening a lot right now. I feel like that barrier is like that wall has gotten broken down so much in the last 2 years.
Mhm.
And it's just been interesting to see like so many techno artists and trance. Let's be honest, like I love trance, but
Mhm.
trance hasn't been cool for like almost 15 years, since like the mid 2000s. And it's kind of like through the guise of techno, it's
Yeah.
starting to get its like notice again. I think that's just really cool.
Yeah, I know a lot of people try to break it down like super, I don't even, I don't know. I've sort of, I feel like I have a really like beginner's approach when it comes to like genres because
Hmm.
I feel like I went through the whole cycle of like, oh, it's this and this and that and that, and it's like now it's like I don't care. Like I'm 28. I grew up listening to all that like early trance stuff,
Yeah.
and I really love that, and I love hard techno, and just I'm not the first one to do it. I'm not
No,
gonna be
not
the
at all.
last
But
one to do it, but I just really enjoy making it,
yeah,
and I'm happy that other people are enjoying to listen to it.
absolutely. I want to talk about like a story you have about a release that you did with Kaizo and Welcome Records, because I want you to tell that story because I read it somewhere else and I just think it's really interesting how that all happened.
So I was at Hard Summer, and I think this was at a point where I was really just starting Hellbound, and
Yeah.
I had a few songs that maybe were out or were being sent around to people, and I was backstage. I forget who I was backstage with. I think honestly I can't remember. It was too long ago. But I was backstage. I saw Hayden Kayzo, and I went up to him. I was like, "Yo, man, what's up? Like, I'm Vince, like Hellbound, like." It's really nice to meet you. And he was like, oh, sick, dude. Like, great to meet you. I'm actually playing one of your songs in my set. So I was like, okay,
Wow.
sick. So I go out and see it. And he played like a remix that I had made that I don't even know if it ever came out. But, it was really nice to meet him. And then I think I like had tweeted at him the next day and was like, yo, dude, like, great to meet you. Like, and then he DM'd me and was like, yo, what are you doing today? And I'm like, I'm pretty far away. So and I'm only in LA for one more day. I think I was going up to see I don't know, me and my manager and a few buddies were like driving up the coast.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I ever even told this to him because I didn't want it just didn't matter at the time. But I was
Right.
like, I want to get in the studio with him for sure. So I'm like 2 hours away and I'm like, nothing, dude. I'm not doing anything, you know? So he's like, oh, why don't you like pull up and like we'll make some music? And I was like, cool. So I just tell my friends, I'm like, let me out of the car. So I get out of the car, I Uber back to LA. Luckily, like Ubers back then weren't even that expensive. It really wasn't
Right.
that. If I did that today, I'd be like $300. But so I was like, let me out of the car. I Uber back. I ended up meeting up with him. And when you collab with somebody in person, it's always kind of a risk
Yeah.
because sometimes things just like don't work.
Mm.
And sometimes you're both like not feeling the track, or sometimes one person's really feeling it, one person's not. So then you just let that person work. It's a weird dynamic, but
Yeah.
we literally like crushed it. Like we were both just kind of like working on all like firing on all cylinders. And it was really cool because like I knew I was crushing it and I was like, oh my God. Because you don't want to blow that opportunity.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
absolutely.
You know, I mean, not that that would have done anything if I had, but it just is,
But it's like
anytime I get in a studio with anyone, I want to like execute, I want to be good.
but that's one of those situations where, especially like at the beginning of a new project, getting that kind of opportunity, you really just want to crush it as hard as you can.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely set the tone because I mean, we had made that song and then I had sent an EP over to them and that got put out. And then our collab was out. I did a remix for him that was out on Welcome. I did another track that came out like the Halloween comp. So it was like from those little interactions, I think kind of set the tone. And like I still talk to him all the time, like he's the homie, like so it's just funny like thinking back to like hard summer 2019 where I just was
right.
like, hey dude, you know.
Hey
Yeah,
man, you miss 100% of the shots you don't shoot, and sometimes just
exactly.
saying hi to somebody is all you really need
Mhm.
to make something happen.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the compilation with Space Yacht.
Uh,
Space Yacht is at this like really great space where they're the in between space between like your average listener of dance music and like becoming more discerning listeners. And I feel like they do a great job of like educating their audience on like the wide range of dance music. And they're such great guys because they're into everything.
mhm.
Um, how did that whole compilation come together?
So I think I so I want to say I think it was right before the pandemic. So my relationship with Space Yacht has gone back a little bit. So right before the pandemic started, like I think it was March 3rd, 2020 or something like that.
Yeah.
I had like my debut show with Space Yacht and it was March 3rd, 303, like acid. Um,
Yes.
so I had that show with them and we've just always been in touch and trying to do things together. And after that, I came back and had like a headline show at Space Yacht that actually happened in July.
Right.
And, we had been sending them music for, pretty decent time. And a few of the songs that I sent them kind of really stuck with them. But beware, they were like, oh, this is really cool. And they had seen, what I'm doing with Null Sect and how it's not, I'm not trying to take credit for any of the techno artists in North America. Like just because I was curating the comp, it's not like I like found everyone and like put them
Right.
on. But I got the opportunity to curate the comp and I was like, okay, I definitely want these guys on there because I truly think all the artists that are on the comp is definitely going to be that wave of like techno artists like in North America coming up. So, we had the idea and there was the artist, there was the music, and we were just like, let's like do something and like put these artists on.
That's so great. That's great to be like doing something for the culture too, to be putting
Yeah.
on so many like fresh artists in North America, especially at a time when like I feel like techno is really like coming into its own too.
Mhm.
Here.
They did the same thing with the drum and bass comp where
Right.
Reaper who's another artist on my management's roster. He curated that, and I'm pretty sure they just went, I think drum and bass and techno like are two like real emerging genres that are, they've been around forever. But
Yeah.
I think when you're looking at like, the dance music space in America, it's not like they've been like the top,
No, they've never
more
really
so in
gotten there.
Europe. They
Yeah,
have been,
absolutely, absolutely. It's I love to see it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I just love to see it for both genres. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Um, so we're almost to the end.
Okay.
We have two things left.
Okay.
So the first one's gonna be my last question, but after that, what we I always do a speed round. And basically what a speed round is I'm just gonna ask you a bunch of real quick questions and you just answer them as fast as possible.
Jeez.
Okay.
Okay.
It's fun. None of these questions are super serious. It's
Okay.
just gonna be me asking you maybe some silly questions and maybe
All
some
right.
not so silly ones.
I'm
But
cool with that. We can do that.
all right, cool. So before I ask that, I always like to end my interviews by asking what excites you about the future of dance music.
Okay. So I think the thing that excites me is, I mean, right now, the only genre that's truly exciting me is like techno and hard techno. I mean, it's all I listen to. I don't listen to dubstep, like none of that. It's like you look at my Spotify, it's like all the artists that I listen to are all just like European artists because that's what's really inspiring me.
Yeah,
What excites me is just doing something different. Kind of not growing up, but like my early career in as a music producer was in bass music, and it just felt like I was one of like 500 people in America doing it. Like, and I just was like, all right, like, does it really matter like if either of us were here or not? Like,
yeah,
would the scene suffer if I was gone? And it didn't. I couldn't honestly be like, yeah, it would, because there's just a million people doing the same thing. So I think it's just really exciting for me right now. Like I can kind of look around America and not really see any other artists trying to accomplish specifically what I'm trying to accomplish. And it's kind of scary because you're on an island, but it's also like exciting because I feel like I'm finally like doing something that's like unique to me in this space. I know there's a ton of producers that are doing that all over the world.
right.
But I feel like the way I'm doing it and approaching it in America is what is kind of unique to me. And, we've kind of doubled down on that by starting Null Sect.
Yeah,
Just being like, hey, like we're here to stay, like we're pushing this for real.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's really what's exciting me about like, the future.
That is a perfectly worded answer and perfectly and great for you. Like I love to see that. I love to hear when people are in their element and they're contributing something unique to the culture.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
appreciate it. All right. So you ready for the
Okay.
speed rounds?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Biggie or
I'm
Tupac?
addicted to coffee. It's so bad. I'm about to go get one right after this. All right, keep
Hell
going.
yeah. Biggie or Tupac?
Biggie for sure. East
Hell
Coast.
yeah. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Pizza or sandwiches?
Sandwiches. I'm Italian, but
Yeah.
I need that. The
Yeah.
nice bread, the chicken cutlets. Yeah.
Yes, I'm with the sandwiches myself.
Yeah.
Intimate club or festival?
Definitely intimate club. Like the smaller the better. Like I love
Awesome.
that shit. Yeah.
Rave or club?
I want it like a dirty rave under a bridge type vibe. Like just like illegal, just you don't know how to get there, you don't know how to get out. Like that's what I
Love
want.
that. That's
Yeah.
the great. That's it.
That's what I want.
Skate park or street skate?
Street skating for sure.
All right.
I mean, unfortunately, so it's kind of double edged. Like I go to a skate park, but I skate like the street obstacles. Skating actual street and finding like real street spots, like when you really do stuff, it's like way more impressive, but it's just harder to find.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Snow or beach?
Beach for sure.
Lake or ocean?
Depends. Do I have a boat? If I have a boat, lake, 100%.
All right. Then we'll say you have a boat.
Lake, 100%.
If you could have one superpower, would you choose flight or invisibility?
Definitely flight.
Awesome. Every DJ answers flights because nobody wants to pay for flights anymore.
Damn, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Analog or digital?
Digital. I know everybody. So that's a hot topic. Like everybody's like, oh no, analog, dude. And I have a ton of analog gear over there.
Yeah.
But that to me, my analog gear is more for me to just like just to like step away from my computer.
Yeah.
But all of my songs are like 99% made on the computer with digital stuff. That's like if I were to pick up a guitar and just start playing guitar, like I'll just go over to my analog gear and I'll just start messing around. And then I can record it and like use it in my tracks. But for the most part, everything I do is just in the DAW, like in the box.
Nice. So the analog gear is for play.
Exactly.
And discovery.
It's the same thing as picking up a guitar, like playing the drums. Like I just play my analog gear and I always record everything into Ableton, just to like repurpose it and reuse it. But yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather swim in a pool full of Nutella or a pool full of maple syrup?
Maple syrup. I'd be sticky as hell, but I love maple syrup.
I love it.
Yeah.
Drum and bass or trap?
Drum and bass for sure.
Trap or trance?
Trance, 100%.
Mullet or mohawk?
Oh baby, I'm growing it out now. Hold on. Let's get
there. It is.
There we go. It's growing. It's gonna take a minute, but
it's getting there.
It's gonna be perfect. I'm gonna grow it right into the winter. I'm gonna have a nice bushy back of my head, beanie, just curls busting out the back.
I love it. Let's see, pop or hip hop?
It really depends.
Mm.
Listening hip hop for sure. Like I appreciate both of them a lot, but I probably listen to like more hip hop. Like I'll just listen to like Clams Casino beats like on repeat as I skate around my neighborhood. Like that's so definitely hip hop.
Awesome. Carl Cox or Charlotte DeWitt?
Charlotte DeWitt. Not even a question.
Flip flops or shoes?
Shoes. I don't own flip flops. I don't want anybody seeing these toes. That should be illegal. I'll get arrested with these toes now.
Finish this sentence. Before I die, I want to.
I want to go to Berlin with my boys for a month.
All right.
I want to do that, like not even just before I die, but like this year. Like I want to do
soon. That. Like now.
Like within the next 8 months, I want to do that.
All right. Yeah. And final question: guilty pleasure TV show?
I don't feel guilty about it, but I just will rewatch Always Sunny like all the time.
It's a great show. It's so funny.
I don't feel guilty at all.
Like, you shouldn't. That's a good one. I get like lots of Real Housewives answers. So
yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV. Like I'll watch TV before bed or like, just when I'm chilling. Like rarely though, but like sometimes I'll do work and I'll just have Always Sunny on the background because it kind of takes the little like pressure off of like I need to write a song.
It's comfort TV.
Exactly. That's my comfort show for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us today.
For sure.
It's been great talking to you, and we'll be in touch.
Awesome. Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Later.
Bye.